Hello friends! Welcome back to Health Highlights, where I spend the time learning about all things health and bring you the highlights. Today, we will be reviewing a part of Dr. Lustig's interview on Drew Pruitt's video titled The Bitter Truth About Sugar and How It's Destroying Your Health. I will include a link to this video in the description bar below if you're interested in viewing it in its entirety. This part of the interview discusses why calorie is not a calorie. Dr. Lustig makes some great points debunking 4 myths. So let's get started. Myth number 1. Until this one is debunked, nothing good will ever come. A calorie is a calorie. The food industry says it's about calories, energy balance, calories in and calories out. It's about 2 behaviors, overeating and laziness. So if you are fat, it is your fault. It's about diet and exercise. Any calorie can be part of a balanced diet. Therefore, don't pick on our calories, pick on somebody else's calories. All of that comes from the notion that it doesn't matter what you eat, it matters how much you eat. Therefore, it is personal responsibility. The food industry puts the responsibility on the victim and dissuades their own culpability. Is it true? Is a calorie a calorie? There is so much data to show that this is the biggest lie in the history of medicine. It was wrong the day it was conceived, and it will be wrong until the day we finally trash it. And the problem is the food industry won't give it up. They won't because it is their protection. It makes them rich. They have convinced us all it is true, and it is not true. Dr. Lustig can prove it's a lie in 4 ways with 4 different food examples. Let's start with almonds. Almonds are great, but they have a high density of calories. If you eat 160 calories in almonds, how many calories do you absorb? The answer is 130. Where did the other 30 go? The fiber in the almonds. There are 2 kinds of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber is like pectins and inulin that holds jelly together, hydrogels. Insoluble fiber is like cellulose, the stringy stuff in celery. Almonds have both types of fiber. The stringy stuff sets up a lattice work on the inside of the duodenum like a fishnet, and the soluble fiber is globular and plugs the holes in the fishnet. Together, they form an impenetrable barrier that inhibits the absorption of simple sugars, glucose, fructose, sucrose, and simple starches in the duodenum, so they do not go via the portal vein to reach the liver and then overwhelm the liver. The liver stays healthy. You are protecting the liver with the fiber in the almonds. The liver doesn't get the excess sugar, which it would turn into fat. Fructose does this in particular. And you don't generate an insulin response because you didn't generate a serum glucose response. This also has to do with the concept of glycemic load to keep the insulin down, and that keeps you metabolically healthy because insulin is the bad guy in this story. Insulin drives chronic metabolic disease because insulin drives growth, abnormal growth. It drives vascular smooth muscle growth. That is why you get coronary artery disease. It drives prostate and breast growth. That's why you get breast and prostate cancer, because of the insulin. Where did 30 calories go? They went further down the intestine called the jejunum, where the bacteria are and where the microbiome is. Those bacteria, they want those 30 calories so they can chew it up for their own purposes. You have 10 trillion cells in your body, and you have 100 trillion bacteria in your intestine. They outnumber you 10 to 1. You are just a big bag of bacteria with legs. Those bacteria have to eat something to stay alive. What do they eat? They eat what you eat. The question is, how much did you get versus how much did they get? When you consumed those almonds, you consumed it with fiber, and that meant that those 30 calories weren't for you. They were for your microbiome. Even though you ate them, even though they registered as a calorie eaten, they were not a calorie absorbed. So who cares how many calories you ate? You care about how many calories you absorbed. Is that measured in a calorie is a calorie? No. A calorie is not a calorie because if it came with fiber, that calorie was not for you. Myth number 2. Protein. Protein is made up of amino acids. There are 20 amino acids. Some are essential amino acids, which means you have to consume them, and some your body can make from the essential amino acids. If you are building muscle, you need those amino acids because muscle is primarily protein. Bodybuilders who are building muscles take scoops of protein powder and add them to their Vitamix to make their smoothies. They are building muscle, so they need those amino acids because they are essential. they have to consume them. What if you are not a bodybuilder? What if you consume excess protein, excess amino acids? You ended up going to the steakhouse and ate a bunch of steak. Where is the protein going to go? Is there a storehouse for protein? Yes, muscle. But you are not building muscle. Then that's not your storehouse. What happens to the excess? It went to the liver. The liver has to turn it into energy. The liver has to take the amino group off of the amino acid, a deamination. Once that happens, the amino acid now becomes an organic acid and can now enter the Krebs cycle, which is the cycle that makes the ATP, so you can generate energy from that amino acid. The deamination process costs energy. It costs twice as much energy as what your liver has to do to prepare a carbohydrate for burning. So there is a net deficit for protein versus carbohydrate when you are turning it into ATP. So even though protein and carbohydrate are both 4 calories per gram, when you are burning protein, you are actually generating fewer ATPs than when you burn carbohydrate. A calorie is not a calorie. You started with the same number of calories in the bomb calorimeter, but you ended up with different numbers of ATPs. Myth number 3, fats. Over here we have omega-3 fatty acids, heart healthy, anti-inflammatory, anti-Alzheimer's, antidepressant, very healthy. They are the single best thing you can put in your body, omega-3s. And over here we have trans fats, the devil's incarnate, consumable poison, made in a lab. The reason we put the trans fats in food is because the bacteria couldn't break the trans double bond because they didn't have the enzyme to do so. This means the bacteria couldn't grow on it. That's why we have the 10-year-old Twinkie. Furthermore, our mitochondria in our cells are refurbished bacteria. They even have their own bacterial DNA. Our mitochondria can't break that bond either. So when you consume trans fats, you are laying down poison in your liver and in your arteries because you can't break it down all the way into carbon dioxide and ATP because of that trans double bond. So you do not want that trans double bond in your diet, but the food industry put them there. Another reason why processed food is poison. The point is, over here we've got omega-3s, and over here we have trans fats. Both are 9 calories per gram. One will save your life, and one will kill you. Because a calorie is not a calorie, because different food stuff has different functions. Myth number 4, fructose and glucose. Glucose is the energy of life, and fructose is poison. It is a chronic dose-dependent mitochondrial toxin. They are both 4 calories per gram. So it is not how much you eat, it is specifically what your body does with what you eat that matters. That just blows the whole concept of calories right out of the water. We have to start with that. That is where the food industry got on, and we have to get off. The problem is, the food industry is still hitting it as hard as they can, because this is the concept that keeps them out of court. As soon as a calorie is not a calorie, they are going to get sued, and it has already started. I love how Dr. Lustig breaks down how foods with the same number of calories do different things in your body. It is a great follow-up to tie it all together. Processed food is poison, and real food is medicine. If you didn't see the last Health Highlights video where Dr. Lustig describes why processed food isn't food, I'll put it in the description bar for you to find. He takes a different spin on it from anyone else, and it makes sense. Dr. Robert Lustig's book, Metabolical: The Lure and the Lies of Processed Food, Nutrition, and Modern Medicine is available wherever books are sold. I will include a link to it below if you are interested in learning more about it. Thank you for coming along on our health journey together. What did you think of these food comparisons? Leave a comment below. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any health highlights. Until next time, here's to health.